G'day Mr. David Hay, my name's Nathan Hellberg. I'm good mates with Ravi, and I was talking to Ravi yesterday, and he said he was going to send this link on to you. Look, I know you're in a camp, mate, and time is valuable, and you obviously have a very specific method of doing things. Mate, I work at a very high level teaching movement to armed forces, elite sports, and coaches all around the world. I'm based here in Florida, originally from Australia, but I teach movement at a very high level. I know you've been injured, and as I was talking to Ravi, I was like, man, I believe I can add tremendous value to what you're doing without, I know you have a very specific way of doing things. I'm an ex-boxer myself. I was brought into Mark Hunt's camp before he fought Roy Nelson. I've worked with Daniel Cormier's coach, Camacho, with movement as well. So mate, I just wanted to shoot a handful of movements to help you with mobility. I can do all sorts of things for conditioning as well, but I know you were injured recently, and I just want to show you a handful of movements, and please only do these movements if you see value in them, okay? Movement makes people speak truth, and being an ex-boxer, I know we're very sagittal. Lots of injuries happen. Over 75% of injuries happen in lateral ranges of movement. So I know, brother, that you will get benefits from these movements. Now, what I want you to understand is these movements will increase power. They will increase your power by giving you more range of motion. Does that make sense? So if you are stiff doing these movements, it means you have lost range of motion. That is a direct correlation to losing power. Does that make sense, brother? It's not rocket science. This is just movement 101, okay? So again, if you are stiff doing these movements, what you need to be telling yourself is, I am losing range of motion or range of movement. If I can increase your ROM, if I increase your range of motion, does it make sense? I will increase your overall output of strength. Well, this is the way I work at a very high level, mate. I'm brought in to consult with athletes at a very high level and sporting teams to increase that. If we can increase that, we will decrease your risk of injuries. Does that make sense? So if I can increase your strength and power, I can decrease your risk of injury. So please have a look at these movements. I'll just show you 3 movements. I don't want to overload you. I would use them as movement prep. They're 3D movements, and this is the best, I believe, the best movement prep for a boxer that I want to give to you, mate, to help you out. This first movement is called a frog squat. So feet a little bit wider than your shoulder width. I need you to hook the inside of your elbows inside your thighs. So hook them in here, hands together, relax down into a deep squat, whatever that means for you, brother. Okay, so just relax, get that flexion going, keep those arms pinned in, and then extend up. Relax back down again, and then extend up. When we extend up, we flush these hammies. When we come down, I'm opening up your ball and socket joint, which is your hips, okay? Extend up and down. Good. Try and pull that back in straight. If you pull your back in straight, you might be hunched over already, and then you might try and straighten up, and you feel all your back interconnective tissue and fascia really, really tight. Okay, so up, down, then stand up, give them a shake, just sort of walk around. This is movement prep, okay? This is how I'd warm you up. Frog squats again. The second time you do it, it'll feel better immediately. Movement immediately picks up dysfunction, but it also makes you immediately understand the benefits, okay? I would do 3 rounds of 10 to 12 reps, okay? Something like that, and it'll make you feel like moving. That's the first movement I would like you to do. That's called a frog squat inside the Zoo bodyweight training system, which is what I created 10 years ago in Australia. This next movement, mate, is called a kick sit. A kick sit, we start in a bulldog position. It's the best hip lateral mobilizer I can teach you. So here, we start in a bulldog position, bend your knees, and from here, I stay on my toes, I bring a leg through this gap, I rotate and I sit down. Sit down, rest that leg. You want to self-assess that back knee is high, not down, it needs to be up, because this is a fulcrum to your hip. Does that make sense? So I'll do it again from bulldog. Keep your hands down. Make sure they stay down. Then back to bulldog. Through the other side, I self-assess that back knee. It's high, which is good. Up, through, up, through. Now mate, watch my lumbar. Watch my lumbar and my T section as I'm doing that, and understand all this rotation through my hip girdle, okay? So from here, if I just turn again 45 and even back, look at all my lumbar, T section. Mate, I don't want to overload you with movements of the zoo bodyweight training system, but those two movements there, frog squats, will open up your ball and socket joint. If you are stiff, this is the way I work with all the fighters I work with. If you are stiff doing a frog squat, I can pick up 1 foot, sometimes a whole foot of range of motion. When we throw a punch, lots of fighters say, my power comes from my hip, Nathan. It doesn't, right? It comes from our feet. It comes from our feet, but then it has to come through our legs and it has to pass through our gait. If our gait is tight, if your gait is tight, it means there's a massive percentage of power that is not transferring through that hip girdle or that gait. Does that make sense? Again, brother, this isn't rocket science, man. This is just the truth. And that's why I want to share it with you, okay? I know how important this fight is for you. So mate, if I can open up those hips, more power will come through to end point. More power will come through to end point. But on top of that, we are reducing your risk of injuries. Kick sits, the best hip lateral mobilizer there is. Opens up all your lower back, all your fascia, all your interconnective tissue. So mate, what I would do would be 3 working sets of frogs for 10 to 12 reps, kick sits for 10 to 12 reps. I would do 3 sets of that, mate, before, as part of your warm-up. Now I also want to say this, I'm heading over to Australia in about a week and a half's time for a 4-week tour, then I come back and I'm all over the place. Mate, if you see value in this movement, I told you on the West Coast in LA, if you see value in this movement, David, I would jump on a plane and fly over next week for 2 or 3 hours, whatever you can spare, to give you more movements, help you understand them and how to integrate them. Any questions your coaches might want to ask me, I would jump on a plane, brother, and get over there, because if you look in the mirror and you still believe you're number one, that's half the battle. And I truly believe that this can help your longevity in your career. And if you are stiff again, there's still so much potential locked away in you. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. David. Look forward to hearing back from you. Bye.